Good morning, this is Jack from Charting the Markets, and this is the pre-market webinar for the morning of Tuesday, the 17th of June. Our disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing, learn from it, transfer it to your own charts. I'm not here to issue trading signals. This is a video for paying subscribers of chartingthemarkets.substack.com and is published on YouTube after a delay of 24 hours. All right, great. Let's have a look. And what's really changed since yesterday on equities? Basically nothing. We've gone a little higher. We're still forming a potential head and shoulders, although it would have been better if it had gone down directly yesterday. But I think so far, the Israel-Iran thing has been a bit of a nothing burger, just because the Iranian missile defenses, which were basically all bought from Russia, turned out not to be much of an issue at all, and Israel's completely dominating from the air. So far, it's been pretty much entirely a one-sided war. That means that this may continue to be a nothing burger. We will see. We've still got a potential head and shoulders forming here. Oh, by the way, just in case, if it is a complete nothing burger, then of course we can go higher. It doesn't mean we're necessarily going to, and I do have some bearish charts. I've used one for the chart of the day today, but we've still got a bullish scenario here, and I'm still watching it. Okay, RTY. We haven't really got a short-term pattern here, but obviously we've got a potential overall level top on YM. YM, we've got a little head and shoulders which broke down here and has failed. Now, sometimes I'd be looking at a potential alternate pattern here, and here I'm not. And the reason is that though I could draw a neckline across here and it would look pretty impressive, it's got two problems. One, there's a double top which is much nicer and it's slightly larger. And the second thing is that in terms of the move up from here to here, this head and shoulders would be way too large. So at the moment, that's broken down and failed, and that doesn't have a replacement. All right, looking at DAX. Yesterday morning, I was saying that the key thing to watch here was whether this got back over the monthly pivot, and it hasn't so far. So we will see how that develops. But at the moment, ESTX and DAX both went back up, both tested the monthly pivot, and both are failing there so far. That doesn't mean they'll continue to fail, but obviously, while they are both under the monthly pivot, they've got something of a bearish lean. So we shall see. Hey, George. Right, so I'm just going to recap ES and the others quickly, just because obviously we've got two more people arrive. ES, we've got a head and shoulders forming. We still have a head and shoulders forming because we've gone a little higher here. It's not as nice as it would have been yesterday if it had broken down, but it's still there in play. We've got another one on NQ as well. How likely are they to break down? Well, it's a holiday week, and we've got a holiday on Thursday. I am tomorrow and Friday are bracketing a holiday day, which doesn't tend to be something where we would see an awful lot of volume, and wouldn't really favour the bears. The other thing is that so far, and that may change, but so far the Israel-Iran conflict has been a complete nothing burger because the Russian air defenses that the Iranians were depending on pretty much collapsed immediately, which is very interesting and probably not something that Russia's looking at with great happiness, because it does show that in the event that there was a conflict between Russia and NATO, their air defenses would last currently about 2 seconds. So, but at the moment, while Israel basically is entirely dominating this, there's not a lot of issue really. I mean, this might develop into a wider conflict, but it's not looking as though this conflict really is being resisted even by Iran to any significant degree. So it's probably not going to be a lot bigger. We've seen a lot of well, I'll come to well. Let's have a look at the small picture chart and the hourly buy signals that I was talking about yesterday morning. Okay, right, on SPX we had a possible we had positive divergence on the hourly charts on the RSI 5 on all of SPX, QQQ, DIA, and IWM. Now, these all developed into buy signals. That's pretty much made target on SPX, and on the Qs, that's pretty much made target. On DIA, That's made the possible near miss target, and an IWM where we had the only one where we actually had an RSI 14 buy signal brewing as well. That's only a weak buy signal, and that's still fixed and not made target, but we made the possible near miss target on the RSI 5 one. So in effect, we've got no meaningful positive divergence here. We also had an RSI 14 buy signal fix on the 15-minute chart, and that too has reached the possible near miss target. Really, we come back to what I was saying yesterday morning, which is the main support here is at the daily middle bands. On ES, we saw a full test, but obviously that's held. So as long as the daily middle band is holding here, the uptrend is intact. Now, this is another test. This is all potential that we've been doing the last couple of weeks. Potential topping action. But until we actually see that break, there's nothing really to suggest a top, and we went back down, we tested it, and it has rallied strongly from there. Didn't quite make the test on SPX, but again, it's very, very clearly uptrend support. On the Qs, we got pretty close to a test, about as close as we have managed on the way down here. We didn't quite make it to where I was hoping we'd get to, and we might still make it down to it, which is down to touch this trend line here, which if we are going to see another leg up would give me a much better pattern. I'm still thinking that might happen, and at the moment we haven't seen anything really confirming the downside. We haven't really seen much in the way of confirmation of the upside either. DAX and the STX in particular are not really telling a clear story here. Looking at Dia, we had a slight break below, and then we had a close above. So no break of the daily middle band. Looking at IWM. We again saw another test of the daily middle band, and we rallied strongly from that. As long as that level holds, there's nothing really to see in terms of the downside here. And we've still got this IHS, which is broken up on IWM and is looking very nice and looking for a retest of the all-time highs. I'm still wondering if that move might deliver. Obviously, I think the economic fundamentals in the US at the moment suck. But the question is, how many people agree with that? It's all about perception and what the market thinks is important. And at the moment, the market doesn't seem to think that is that important. And if it doesn't think that's important, we've got an opportunity and a window to go higher before the economic figures come out, which will probably show that I'm right. But not necessarily. I've been wrong before. More than once, I must confess. But I don't think I'm wrong this time. On DAX, we've got a weak RSI 14 sell signal fixed, the RSI 5 sell signal made target. We're seeing a bit of a rally here, but we've not got back over the daily middle band. And obviously, as I mentioned, we haven't made it over the daily pivot either. Look at Nikkei. Nikkei, no signals here. We saw a strong break below at one stage below the daily middle band, but that's held, and we've held the 200 DMA as well. It's mainly the Europeans which are still looking a bit weak. At the moment, we're seeing a whole load of daily middle bands holding, and that overall has been leaning towards the upside. So we shall see. And I'm not talking about, a big, people were talking about a new bull market and, lasting for years. Personally, I think that's nonsense. But I do see more upside in potential. And I have to say, I'm doing a very big project at the moment. I'm charting. I'm planning to do basically the 100 largest charts in companies in the US and ETFs. And I'm about 25% of the way through. So I've done, basically it's 100 companies, 500 charts, basically lifetime down to hourly charts. And I've done about 125 of those. In the main, those are suggesting more upside. I have been posting a couple where short term it's looking more to the downside, but those are only, potentials. Overall, there's a lean to the upside, and that remains the case. Okay, looking at DX. DX, we've got possible little flag forming here, but really very little has been happening since this last move down. This last move down, though, on the bigger picture, has taken us for bear flag support. This whole thing here is a potential double bottom. We're at a huge inflection point on the dollar, and we're either going to break down here in a bullish underthrow, and then go up, or go up directly, or we could break down and do it with force. To do that, we would need to see a sustained break below 96. We could see that, in which case the overall bull flag that we've got here becomes a topping pattern. Right, ZB, I was saying the other day that this is a possible very ugly IHS breaking up with a target in the 118.24 to 26 area, or this is a larger bear flag, and at the moment is leaning towards the larger bear flag set up here. We've got a weak 60-minute buy signal fixed, not delivered anything so far, but we do have a potential little level bottom here, which is thinking about breaking up. Looking at CL, CL we saw this big move up based on the Israel-Iran thing. We saw a breakdown for a double bottom yesterday, and so far we've not seen a sustained break below the 69 area. So I'm not really. Well, I'm keeping an open mind here. There's been, there's talk about the US entering the war, and there's Somalians sank a Russian oil tanker, I think. But really, we're waiting for more news on the war. Obviously, oil tends to be highly sensitive to any conflict in the Middle East. All right, HO, we're coming back in and retesting the spike high at the moment. No current negative divergence on RBOB. I think this may well retest that high too. We shall see. That could provide us with second highs of double tops. NG, this has been a longish consolidation. I was thinking this was a triangle. If this is a triangle, I think it may be breaking up. And actually, it kind of really looks like a triangle. So if this breaks up, then normally I have to say this sort of triangle would be leaning towards the short side, but it's not a very strong lean. And it may be that this one is just going to go up instead. But here, it's not a perfect triangle, but it's not bad. No, it's not bad. Or is it a wedge? Could be a wedge. Actually, that does look like a wedge. All right, I'm going to call that a wedge. And it's breaking up, and it's got a very modest target at a retest of the high, and it's pretty much made it already. What is this saying on the bigger picture? Well, we're holding above the monthly pivot. So this has got prospects to the upside. We shall see how that goes. Hang on, sorry, I'll just mark in the colors here. And this is certainly looking more promising than it was a couple of days ago. Bigger picture, I'm not optimistic about the prospects. Nobody really cares on natural gas about the Middle East. Right, GC, we've still got a bull flag. It's still broken up, and it's still got a target to retest the all-time high, and it's still not made it yet. I'm thinking we're in a consolidation, maybe going higher. Silver, I was thinking this was a bullish consolidation, albeit an ugly one, and it's broken up and retested the high. We have a potential level top here. I've marked in the support, but really on the metals, I'm leaning towards the upside. Palladium, we've got a level bottom here. We saw a break up over what looked like flag resistance. We got a little level bottom here. I'm thinking this may well break up. The target, if it gets back over the weekly pivot, would be in about the 108.5 area. On platinum, possible head and shoulders forming here. No current divergence. HG made it down to my trend line here. Broke it very slightly. Not seeing an obvious reversal pattern here, but we could be forming. Hang on, wait a second. We could be forming a head and shoulders. And if we are, the ideal right shoulder high would be up here in about 4.95 area, and this could head down significantly and head back to the lows. Again, HG on the bigger picture, I suspect we are looking at a downtrend for the same reasons. All right, let's have a look at nothing really to see on the currencies today. KC, still looking for potentially a little lower to set up a nice looking double bottom. That's got in play. Sugar. The wedge has now it underthrew slightly bullishly and broke up. We've got a potential head and shoulder neckline up here in about the 17.18 area, and I'm thinking that may well be the next stop to form a inverted head and shoulders that may then break this up. CC, we had a bear flag, or we could be forming a larger bear flag, but sooner or later I'm expecting this to deliver a retest below here in the 85.50 area. On CT, possible IHS forming, but really nothing has been happening for a while. Lumber, I drew in my ideal wedge resistance trend line, and it went and hit it yesterday, which is always gratifying to see. This is a nice looking bear flag rising megaphone. and I am thinking that we're likely to be heading down from here. Lumber, again, I'm bearish for the same reasons, and the target of this would actually be a more respectable target down at about the 565 area. On wheat, double top trying to break down here, not made any headway so far. Corn, we had an IHS breakup and we've come down lower. This could be potentially just an alternate inverted head and shoulder, right shoulder forming. On soy, little double top here, 60-minute sell signal fixed, not really delivered on the slight breakdown below the double top, but watching that with interest. I'm still looking for a retest of this high here at about the 108.2 area. On soybean oil, we have broken up hard. We got a 60-minute sell signal here, maybe setting up for a retracement on live cattle. Rising wedge broken down slightly. Lean hogs, I redrew the rising wedge here, and this is a rising wedge breaking up slightly. I'm thinking this might be a bearish overthrow, but equally it might not be. All right, great. Let's have a look at questions, of which we have none. Okay, we may not see a lot of action for the rest of this week. Holding the daily middle band so far has an overall lean of bullish. We may well find the rest of this week is a low volume nothing burger. Kind of like the Israel-Iran war has been so far. In the event the Israel-Iran war starts hotting up, then we might actually see some action to the downside. At the moment, I'm not seeing much to support the bear case here, which is good because I wasn't backing it anyway. But watch out for Israel-Iran. If the US gets involved, which I think is unlikely, that could start hotting up. We will see. All right, everyone take care, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow.